Okay, robot on robot. Claude versus ChatGPT. Which one of these two AI, LLM thingies is best for you to use if you're a digital marketer or if you own a business and you do your own marketing? So, my name is David White from Learn Marketing AI. I figured that out this morning and I thought I would document the process as I went through it and share it with you here in this YouTube video. So let's talk about which one of these two robots is actually going to be more useful for you while you're doing your marketing. Now, on paper, this is going to be a pretty close fight. Claude and ChatGPT are very similar. They're both large language models. They were kind of trained in the same way. They both have roughly the same amount of memory, around, depending on what you read, around 100,000 words is what they can remember. And if you don't know why that's important, I did a video talking about ChatGPT's most recent update. It'll be here or here somewhere on your screen, where I spoke about why memory is so important and why ChatGPT's memory going from 4,000 words to 100,000 words is such a big deal. But at the end of the day, Claude and ChatGPT, they are tools. And a tool, we can measure it by how hard do you have to work when you're actually using it. So something like, I don't know, a corkscrew is a good tool because it's much easier for you to use a corkscrew to get a cork out of a wine bottle than it is for you to try and figure it out yourself. But even better than that is like a hammer. Like you just tap something once and then boom, you're in. So a hammer is a better tool than a corkscrew for getting inside of stuff. That's a weird metaphor, I know. So what I'm looking for here when I'm measuring ChatGPT and Claude is, as a tool, which one of these is easier for me to use? So if I ask it to do some work for me and it says, here's the work that you asked me to do, how much messing around would I need to do with the thing that it gave me before I would get to the point where I could say, yep, this is good, I like this. Now I would go and post this on social media, or I would broadcast this email, or I would publish this ad, or I'm happy to do that webinar, or whatever it might be. So how good are they at getting kind of the work that I'm asking for as close as possible to the finished product? Now we got 4 challenges or sort of shootouts or tasks that we've given the robots to work on, and I've scored them pretty simply, like pass, fail. Would I use this or would I not use this? And we're going to give them both exactly the same prompts. First and foremost, we're going to look at how good are they at coming up with ideas for content. Secondly, we're going to look at, if I give the robot a bunch of information and a bunch of content, for example, if I tell the robot about my product and my audience and I show it my sales page, how well can it kind of interface between information and content and give me suggestions for change the sales page here, do this with, your YouTube channel strategy. That's kind of what we're looking at there. The next thing is content from scratch. So no content existed. And then I asked the robot to write me some content, like a sales page, and then some content existed. And then the final thing, the final test is content from content. So this is the sort of thing that you would use if you're, let's say you've made a webinar and you want to write an email about it, or you've created a YouTube video like this and you want to write a social media post about it. There's content that you're making about another piece of content. And I'm hoping as we go through and you see me do these prompts, you're going to realize, hey, this is like the sort of stuff that I do when I'm marketing, and I can figure out for each one of these tasks, is ChatGPT or is Claude better? So let's get started. I'm going to pull my screen up here. I've given both of the robots the same prompt. You're probably going to look at these prompts and think these are quite ghetto. I know they are a little bit ghetto. I just sort of rushed through this earlier this morning to show you, where the strengths and where the weaknesses of each of these tools are. But the first test that we're going to do is content ideas. Now, I've given ChatGPT and Claude exactly the same prompt here, and it basically sounds like this. It's me pretending to own a business where I teach young professionals about money stuff. I'm telling ChatGPT, you're an expert content marketing strategist. Every month, I do webinars for my audience, and I've been doing them for a couple of years. Here's some information about the current macro and economic climate. Here's what I want you to do. First and foremost, review the frameworks for the type of webinars that I like to do. And I want you to give me 3 different sort of ideas of like, hey, here's a type of webinar that you could run next month. Secondly, you're going to look at all the stuff that I like to talk about in my fake business, and then you'll use this and all the information that I've given you to give me 10 ideas for a webinar that I could host for my audience this month, and a thorough description of each. So here we go. These are the webinar frameworks that I just made up. This is the content topics that I just made up. And ChatGPT gets to work. So it says, hey, here are 3 different ideas of a webinar that you could teach with a short description of each. Fine. Here are 10 ideas of a webinar that you could teach. So just straight teaching how to manage debt in uncertain times, or XYZ versus ABC, stocks versus real estate in a volatile market. Not bad. I want to really push these robots though. So I got my 10 and I said, hey, I've been doing these webinars for over 2 years and I've already covered most of these topics. Please try again and suggest some more out of the box and creative ideas, which ChatGPT did do for me. It gave me 10 more. Now, I'm not going to make you read through these. I'm not going to go through these. I've already been through this list and given it a pass fail for each one of these. So something like, where are we at? Something like this, creative. I'm not going to do that. Something, where was it? Something like global financial tour, exploring money management across cultures. Creative. I'm not going to do that. That's not a webinar I'm going to do. Compare that to Claude. So here you can see that I've given it exactly the same prompt, all the same sorts of information, and Claude has not given me, let me just pull it up here, a thorough description of each. Claude has not followed my instructions, which is going to be a recurring theme throughout this. So I asked it again for review, 3 additional webinar frameworks. It gave me 3. Then it gave me 10 ideas for a webinar topic. I gave it exactly the same follow-up prompt, and it gave me 10 more ideas for a webinar that I could teach. So here is how they scored. For the additional 3 frameworks that I asked for, Claude, I liked 2 of its additional frameworks. ChatGPT, I only liked 1. When I looked at the first 10 webinar ideas that they gave me, I liked 7 out of each. And when I looked at the next 10 webinar ideas, so like I said, hey, I've been doing this for a while, be a bit more creative, give me some new and novel ideas, I liked 1 more from ChatGPT. So here we are pretty much at a dead heat. We're scoring 13 all. ChatGPT and Claude are neck and neck. So if you're looking for help with coming up with ideas for content, it doesn't really matter which one of these 2 that you use. Now, the next thing that we were looking at was information and content and sort of creative analysis. So the easiest thing that I can think of off the top of my head here is, here's some information about my business, my product, my audience. Here's my sales page. What should I be doing differently? Or you might do something like, here's some information about my email sequence that I've run and the stats and whatnot. Here's the product that I'm running it to. Here's my audience. Here's the landing page for the thing that I'm sending them to. Is there any discrepancies within this email sequence that I could fix to increase conversions here? So we got information and content and asking the robots to do a specific amount of work. So if I pull up my slides here really quickly, the way that I went about this is I said to the robots, hey, I have a podcast where, let me quickly share my screen here with you. I have a podcast where I interview successful internet entrepreneurs. So next week, I am interviewing Marie Forleo on my show, and there's a little problem. Many podcast interviews are boring. They ask the same questions over and over and over again, and that sort of stuff doesn't really encourage guests to open up. It kind of bores them. So here's the deal. You're the world's best interviewer. You're like Larry King or Howard Stern. You know how to ask people hard-hitting questions that really make them tick and uncover hidden gems. Let's get to work. Here's a bit of information about Marie Forleo. If you don't know Marie Forleo, like I said, amazing lady. You should be following her. Here's some information about her. And I've also given you, where is it? Content. Here's an excerpt from a transcript from a recent interview that Marie did on another YouTube show. I think, the name of this particular section of the video was, what do you struggle with? So I'm asking ChatGPT here, give me 15 ideas of like unique, interesting, unusual questions to ask her. Long transcript. All right, here we go. I'm not going to work through these, but we did exactly the same thing. I really pushed the robot to do a lot of work there. It gave me 15 questions, and of course I pushed it. These are a bit boring. Give you stretch yourself, come up with 15 more ideas of interesting or unusual questions that might get Marie to think differently about what makes her successful. So I got my 15 from ChatGPT, and then up here, same prompt. Here's what Claude gave me. Now these 15 questions, same as what we had with ChatGPT. These are a bit boring, so I gave it exactly the same prompt, and I got some more interesting stuff. I like this question. What do you think holds you back the most these days? What's something that you believe that other personal development leaders would disagree with? And here's how we scored it. I just click my down button here. So the first 15 interview questions from Claude and ChatGPT, didn't like them. I gave Claude 2, I gave ChatGPT 3. When I pushed it and I said, that was all really boring, try again, Claude gave me 10 that I would have used. There were a few duplicates in there. I would have scored a higher. I was actually really impressed with Claude here. ChatGPT only gave me 7. So task 1, they both scored 13. We're up to 25 and 23. So if you have a thing that you need to do that's quite complicated, you've got information over here, you've got content over here, and you need to kind of figure out how you can bring them together, Claude, like I was really quite impressed with the way that Claude went about doing this. A lot of this sort of stuff was very insightful. The next challenge that we've got for the robots is content from scratch. So we're going to get them to actually write something out for us that has never been written before, and they're going to go basically from nothing. Now, this one really is important to me, and I'm going to keep talking about it while I quickly pull it up here, because these robots, these large language models, when they go through the internet and they browse and they scroll and they look at all the different types of marketing content that are out there, all the different types of writing, they sort of get this big picture look at like, what is marketing? And inside this huge bubble of content, there's really good marketing, there's really bad marketing. There's brand marketing, and then there's direct response marketing. There's marketing that's very stiff and professional, and then there's marketing that's very fun and light, like Marie Forleo's stuff. She's very fun and very good at kind of making her stuff engaging. There's marketing that's very aggressive and blunt. There's marketing that's very nurturing and caring. And when we get these robots to write for us, what we do not want is for them to just find the center point of like all this sort of stuff that they could say and just say the most boring, bland thing that like doesn't really push the boundaries of anything. We want to be able to push it to like, hey, you're going to write me marketing material. It's going to be very scientific. Or you're going to be writing me marketing material. It's going to be very fun. Or you're going to be writing me marketing material that's extra inspirational. Or in the example of what I'm going to share with you, and this was the best way that I could think of to really push these robots, you're going to write me marketing materials that are very confrontational. So here we go. Here's a prompt that I made up. Of course, this is ghetto, but this is really interesting. My name is David. I run a quit smoking business. Here's how I do it. My core program is called Quit for Good, and I need your help writing the opening for the sales page. Now, I want you to consider all the sorts of things that my audience is afraid of, what they're worried about their friends and family thinking, how resistant they are to giving up the perceived benefits of their smoking, and how difficult quitting is going to be. I'm very aggressive and confrontational. I'm here to make them accountable to the damage that smoking is having on their health. Write me 3 strongly worded 200-word openings for the sales page for Quit for Good. Here's a bit of information about how you can kind of do that. Let's see what you got. And here, this is the strongest that I've ever seen ChatGPT write. Wake up. Every puff you take is not just burning your money, it's incinerating your health, your dignity. Geez, that's strong from Chatty G. And the respect of those you love. You know it, I know it. Every single drag screams it. That is pretty aggressive. And it goes on. Look in the mirror. That person staring back at you, they're a hostage to nicotine. You're worried about giving up your stress relief? Please. Wow. ChatGPT went after it here. And there was one little point somewhere through here where it just went off the rocket. You think smoking gives you control? Shots fired, ChatGPT. All right, I was worried about you kind of like being in the center and finding the most boring way of giving me a marketing message. And here, Chatty G did not hold back, but there was a little problem. When we asked the exact same thing of Claude, I said, I quit smoking business. I'm very confrontational. I'm here to keep people accountable. And Claude refused. It said, no, let's talk about a more ethical approach that focuses on encouraging positive change through understanding and empowerment. These aggressive sales tactics do not align with my principles, which, okay, write me the most aggressive version that you possibly can under your principles. And Claude won't do it. I don't feel comfortable writing aggressively, even if it aligns with principles. All right, well, just do your best. And it just says I can't. So I said, just write me something. And here is what I mean when I say robots, if you don't push them to be funny or empowering or inspiring or something, aggressive. Here is what I mean when I say they're going to be very boring. It's time to focus on our health. Smoking causes incredible damage, but change is hard. Like, they're boring. We know you can do this. So this is a catastrophic fail for me. And if we go to our little scorecard of what we put together, I'm going to give you a 2 out of 10 here, Claude. I know I said I would give it like a pass fail, but 2 out of 10. That's really bad. ChatGPT though, like I would never market the way that I just saw ChatGPT talk to these people who need my program quit for good. But given what I asked it, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 here. I know I said I would give it a pass fail, but like that was really some quite strong wording. And I'm seeing that if you want to really push a robot to write in the particular way that you're asking it to, I'm sure that, there are ways to get around that with Claude, but man, ChatGPT, pretty impressed with what it did there. Now, the final test that I wanted to pull up was content from content. So if you have a webinar or a blog and you want to write an email about it, or if I make a YouTube video like this and I want to post something about it on social media, how good are the robots at creating content from content? So let me pull up my prompts here and share that with you. Hang on one second. All right, here we go. This is the prompt. So I'm going back to pretending to be Marie Forleo here, or pretending to interview Marie Forleo, or whatever it was that I did before. So here I'm saying, I'm Marie. I have this information about my business, and let's get started. You're an expert email copywriter with 10 years experience. I want you to take a chunk from a transcript of a recent podcast that I was interviewed on, which I'll paste below, and turn it into a content email. Here's what a well-written content email looks like. All the way down to here. Please use all this information that I've given you to write me 5 subject line variations and then 5 summaries of a strong opening, body copy, and payoff. So this is that transcript again that I shared in one of the previous prompts, and ChatGPT got to work. It said, here are your subject line variations. Here's email 1, the summary of email 1. Here's email 2, 3, 4, and 5. Not bad. Same prompt here with Claude. Claude did not follow my instructions. So I asked for 5 subject lines, which I got. And then I asked for 5 different variations of email hook, body, and payoffs, or, something along those lines. And here I only got 2. Now, this is not terrible stuff, but remember what I said earlier about these things are a tool. And if you kind of perform an action, like give it a prompt, and then it gives you some work back, you shouldn't have to do a whole bunch of messing around with what it's given you back. You shouldn't have to keep working on it if it's a really good tool. So what ChatGPT has given me here, I can go and say, you know what? Email number 3. I really like email number 3. Please create me a 400-word email using this framework and modeling what I said in the transcript above. With Claude, it didn't follow my instructions, so I got to say, dude, I asked for 5 versions of this email. You only gave me 3. This is becoming a recurring theme. It's just not following my instructions, which is not to say that this sort of stuff is bad, but hey, I should not have to keep on asking. So if we go to our scorecard here for test number 4, Claude, I gave it a 4 for the number of email subject lines. 4 out of those 5 I would use. ChatGPT, 3 out of the 5 I would use. And then Claude only gave me 2 out of the 5 openings and body copy that I wanted. ChatGPT gave me 5, and I only didn't like 1 out of each of those. But if we look at the total score, so far we're up to 37 for Claude and 38 for ChatGPT. Classic. I just realized something was wrong there. 32 for Claude, 38 for ChatGPT. As my mentor Frank Kern used to say, math is not an exact science, but 32 for Claude, 38 for ChatGPT. So ChatGPT outperformed it by about 16 point something percent. Math is not an exact science. So my takeaways from everything that we've just seen, first and foremost, Claude, pretty good at the creative stuff. Like if you wanted to come up with a plan for, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, what are all the different types of content that I could create? Or I have this kind of campaign in mind, what sort of stuff could I do with it? That sort of high level creative stuff, I think Claude's going to be really good at it. But when it comes to very specific in the weeds, like actually doing tasks and getting work done, like here's the transcript from a webinar, write me an email sequence for it. Or here's all the information you need about my product, write me an ad campaign for it, or a sales page about it. I really feel like ChatGPT is going to be the one there. So think about it this way. If you would delegate work, I feel like ChatGPT is going to be the thing that you should use there. So if you're going to delegate your social media to anyone, delegate it to ChatGPT. If you were to delegate your advertising, like writing the stuff, coming up with scripts for videos, delegate it to ChatGPT. If you would go somewhere to seek advice, like if you had a coaching call with a mentor or a teacher of yours, that's probably the sort of thing that you should ask Claude about. Like, hey, here's my 30,000 foot overview of my business plan. What do you think? Or here's a 30,000 foot overview of my campaign. Am I missing anything? Could I add anything in there? So I hope you found that useful. We covered a lot of ground in this video. We spoke about many of the different sorts of things that you might do inside your digital marketing. For me, ChatGPT is still the leader. It's still the one that I would try my hardest to get familiar with over and above Claude. And I think with their app store as well, my suspicion is, and I've been saying this for quite a while, my suspicion is that ChatGPT is going to become like the Apple or it's going to become the Apple of artificial intelligence tools. So if I pull up their plugin store right here, you can see, what do we got here? There's 174 pages of plugins, and we got 6 on each page. So that is 1,044 different plugins they've got already. So people are building on top of this platform. Now, admittedly, a lot of this stuff is not relevant to us as marketers and probably is quite crap, if I'm honest and blunt. But I really think that ChatGPT is going to become the thing. So both of these tools they've got their advantages, they've got their disadvantages, but I would definitely be leaning towards ChatGPT as the one that you use. So let me know in the comments, do you have a preference for ChatGPT or Claude? Have you found any other major differences between the two? Hope you found that useful. As always, make sure you click that subscribe button down here to join to subscribe to the channel. And there's more good stuff for you right there. So I'll see you in the next video.